When a rain begins to lose its shine, it is not a sudden fall. The collapse reveals itself in small gestures, in almost invisible cracks. That's exactly how the Milwaukee Bucks began to fade since their 2021 peak. That trophy seemed like the first of many, a symbol of dominance and stability. But time, relentless as ever, proved that every dynasty has its fractures. Since then, the team has struggled to rediscover its own identity. The system, once lethal, became predictable. The stars stopped resonating on the same frequency. The roster, aged and worn out, began carrying the weight of a recent past too glorious to be repeated. The arrival of Damian Lillard brought a breath of hope. The union between one of the league's greatest scorers and Giannis Antetokounmpo promised to set the NBA on fire. Two offensive monsters sharing the same space, two leaders hungry for a title. Everything seemed aligned for a new golden chapter. But basketball rarely follows the dream script. Lillard showed flashes of what he's capable of, but the machine never ran smoothly. The team fluctuated, confidence evaporated, and the glow of that 2021 triumph became a distant memory. The NBA Cup title made headlines, but not believers. It was merely a side trophy, a symbolic reward for a roster that aimed for something far greater. Then came the cruelest blow, the diagnosis of deep vein thrombosis, a serious condition that not only sidelined him from the court, but also cast doubt on the future of the entire franchise. Without Lillard, Milwaukee once again depended on Giannis's solitary strength. And even for an athlete who has always defied human limits, the burden was becoming unbearable. Giannis is loyalty in flesh and bone. He rejected tempting offers, defended the city and the jersey, believed in the project, even as the pieces around him began to crumble. But even the most faithful know that time is short. No player wants to waste the best years of his career amid uncertainty and improvisation. The window to win again is open now, and no one knows how long it will remain that way. While the Bucks' future slowly unraveled, the West Coast was heating up with an opposite movement. The Golden State Warriors, even in the face of aging, refused to accept decline. Unlike Milwaukee, the Californian team never waits for collapse to act. The front office understands that Stephen Curry's clock never stops ticking. The point guard who changed the game still shines, but each wasted season is a lost page of his personal legend. After years at the top, the franchise chose to act before the light faded. Then came the shocking news. The arrival of Jimmy Butler, the tireless competitor from Miami, a bold, almost desperate move, but one with purpose. The Warriors made it clear they didn't want to live off memories. They wanted to remain at the center of great narratives. The trade cost valuable pieces, but the return was more than technical. It was emotional. Butler brought intensity, focus, and a mentality that recalls the wildest days of the dynasty. And in this context, a rumor emerged that paralyzed the league: Golden State's interest in Giannis Antetokounmpo. A plan so audacious it borders on impossible, but impossible has never been a word in the Warriors' vocabulary. Sources close to the front office reveal that there is indeed a project drawn with surgical precision, a trade package capable of reshaping the NBA map. The proposal would include a combination of veterans and promising young players, along with future draft picks that could tempt any executive willing to rebuild. The names circulating in internal discussions are striking: Draymond Green, Gary Payton II, Buddy Hield, Jonathan Kuminga, and Moses Moody, plus 2 first-round picks in 2026 and 2028, an offer that stirs both emotion and logic. For Milwaukee, it would mark the end of an era, but also the start of something new. The sacrifice of a legend in exchange for renewed hope. Kuminga and Moody symbolize the future, young, athletic, and hungry for opportunity. Kuminga, with solid averages and remarkable growth in decision-making, has the profile of a protagonist, but has always been limited by a hierarchical system. In Milwaukee, he would have the freedom to fail and evolve, something that was never possible in San Francisco. Moody, on the other hand, carries the DNA of a reliable player: consistent shooting, tactical discipline, and calm under pressure. In a rebuilding team, he would become the cultural cornerstone. Draymond Green, even at 35, would be the natural leader of the new locker room. His voice and competitive mentality would help maintain high standards, even amid transition. Gary Payton II would bring the one thing that cannot be taught: defense and pure energy. Buddy Hield, with his lethal shooting, would be the bridge between generations, someone capable of keeping the offense alive while the young core matures. On the other side, the Warriors front office knows exactly what's at stake. Letting go of Draymond isn't just a sporting decision, it's a symbolic cut. He has been the soul of the team for more than a decade, but to be reborn, detachment is necessary, and the ultimate prize is too tempting: seeing Curry, Butler, and Giannis on the same court. A trio that would unite technique, emotion, and brute strength like never before. Curry controlling the perimeter, Butler dictating the rhythm and tone, Giannis redefining the concept of physical presence. No defensive scheme could contain something like that. It would be the kind of formation that doesn't just win, it defines eras. For Giannis, the scenario is equally alluring: a competitive yet functional environment, a system where the collective outweighs ego and where talent is honed by clear principles. In the Warriors, he would find something Milwaukee no longer offers: direction. And perhaps that alone would be enough to reignite his fire. But the impact of this possible trade extends beyond the court. It touches the symbolic, media, and emotional spheres. Giannis's arrival would send a powerful message to the world. The Golden State Warriors don't just want to compete again, they want to reign. While executives negotiate discreetly, the league watches in suspense. A move like this isn't just a transaction, it's a historic turning point. The NBA's balance would be destroyed and rebuilt within days. Milwaukee would trade certainty for hope. Golden State would trade comfort for greatness. And in this chess game, every piece moves with purpose. On this board, another name appears, seemingly modest but full of meaning: Sotto. The 2.18-meter Filipino center, who has sparked global curiosity for years, is now on San Francisco's radar. Internal reports indicate that the Warriors are studying his signing for 2025. And while it may sound unlikely, the truth is that he represents something the team has always sought: a bridge between cultures, a symbol of renewal. Sotto is not just a technical project. He is a living narrative, an athlete who carries the hope of millions of Asian fans and the desire to represent something bigger than basketball itself. His game blends length and finesse. He protects the rim with instinct, finishes with grace, and reads the game's rhythm with uncommon maturity for his age. In a system that values movement, spacing, and awareness, he fits like a tailor-made piece. For the Warriors, it would be an investment in both skill and global influence. For Sotto, the chance to learn in an ecosystem that produces champions. His journey through Australia and Japan forged a resilient athlete accustomed to adversity. In San Francisco, he would find the ideal environment to evolve. And the union of Giannis and Sotto, if realized, would symbolize something even greater: the meeting of absolute present and emerging future. The Golden State Warriors stand on the edge of metamorphosis, an empire refusing to die, ready to defy time and logic. Giannis, Butler, Curry, Sotto, 4 names, 4 stories, 1 purpose: to prove that greatness never disappears, it only changes form. Behind the scenes of the league, the rumor is no longer a whisper. It's a storm in formation. Journalists, analysts, and executives are already calling it the biggest move since Durant in 2016. The difference is that this time it's not just a transfer, it's a structural reconfiguration of power in the NBA. Golden State wants more than another title. It wants to prove it still dictates the rhythm of the global game. Talks between the front offices remain under absolute secrecy, but the silence is telling. In moments like this, the absence of statements is a sign that something real is being stitched together. Discreet meetings, salary adjustments, and discussions about future assets make up a chessboard that few can see. Milwaukee tries to maintain an image of stability, but internally, they're already discussing the plan B for life without Giannis. The transition, inevitable, must be handled intelligently to avoid breaking the bond with the fans. On the other side, Golden State plans every detail like a general before battle. The team knows the investment is enormous, but so is the potential return. The combination of Curry, Butler, and Giannis would create one of the most complete trios of the modern era: lethal perimeter, strength in the paint, and collective mindset. It wouldn't just be talent assembled, it would be strategic chemistry. The goal isn't to gather stars, but to build a perfect mechanism. In the offices of San Francisco, performance analysts are already simulating possible lineups. In one of them, Giannis acts as a secondary facilitator, receiving passes from Curry and drawing double teams, opening space for Butler to attack the weak side. In another, he serves as a mobile center, turning the offensive system into a hybrid of speed and physical dominance. Every scenario leads to a similar conclusion. If the fit works, the entire league will have to reinvent itself. Milwaukee, meanwhile, views the trade as a necessary amputation. No executive wants to be remembered as the man who let Giannis go. But there are moments when clinging to past glory is the fatal mistake. The Bucks know that even with Lillard, the team lost its balance. The chemistry dissolved, and the project needs a new foundation. That's why young pieces like Kuminga and Moody wouldn't just be promises, they'd be pillars of a planned rebirth. The interim coach, in private conversations, is said to have remarked something symbolic. You don't rebuild a castle starting from the top. Milwaukee understands it must return to basics. Build identity, develop talent, rediscover hunger. This is the stage that precedes every successful reconstruction. Meanwhile, in California, the mood is one of calculated restraint. No player speaks publicly, but there's a different energy in training sessions. Butler's presence has already transformed the atmosphere. The locker room feels more tense, more competitive, quieter. It's the kind of environment that comes before something monumental. And Curry, with his usual serenity, observes everything. He knows how to recognize when destiny begins to move. Amidst all this, Sotto becomes a silent symbol. The idea of seeing him alongside Giannis excites the Asian market. The Philippines stops to comment on each new rumor. On social media, the name Sotto Warriors is already trending. For a franchise that has always known how to blend spectacle and strategy, this attention isn't a detail. It's part of the plan. Modern basketball is global, and Golden State wants to lead not only on the court, but off it as well. Sotto, amid the chaos of negotiations, trains in silence. He works on fundamentals, refines his mid-range shot, and studies videos of the Warriors' tactical system. He knows that if the opportunity comes, it won't be by chance. His style fits naturally with what the team seeks: an intelligent, mobile, disciplined big man. In a roster that values quick passing and game reading, every move must have purpose, and Sotto has plenty of that. Analysts describe the potential combination of Giannis and Sotto as a tactical paradox. Raw power and technical softness coexisting in the same paint. Giannis imposes, Sotto anticipates. One completes the other. It's a rare synergy, something that could redefine what it means to dominate the interior without sacrificing speed. But what stands out most is the emotional impact. For Giannis, this potential transfer isn't just a franchise change. It's an existential turning point. He has always defended loyalty, but he also understands that love for the game demands constant evolution. Standing still would be betraying his own essence. In San Francisco, he would find not just a new team, but a new purpose. There, alongside Curry and Butler, he would have creative freedom and collective structure, a balance few athletes ever experience. Golden State's executives see beyond statistics. They talk about culture, about legacy. They know building a championship team is an art that involves more than numbers. It's about aligning mindsets. And Giannis, with his relentless work ethic, is the kind of player who transforms everything around him. It's no exaggeration to say that within that locker room, his presence would change even the air. The following season would be a living laboratory. The team would need weeks to fine-tune its rhythm, but the final outcome would be devastating. Rotations would gain depth, the attack would flow, and the defense would adopt a new identity. Butler and Giannis would demand maximum intensity. Curry would bring lightness and precision, and Sotto would learn by observing the best until he was ready to take real responsibility. Meanwhile, the rest of the league would watch with a mix of fear and fascination. Denver would have to rethink its defensive structure. Phoenix would reconsider its spacing. Los Angeles would rush to speed up its reconstruction, and international broadcasts would turn every Warriors game into a global event. The media impact would match the sporting one. Asian, European, and American sponsors would compete for space on jerseys and arenas. Games scheduled for Southeast Asian and Philippine audiences would become common. Basketball, once again, would prove to be a universal language, and Golden State would be its translator. However, there's something deeper behind all of this, a kind of veiled message. Time doesn't destroy empires, it only forces them to change shape. The Warriors seem to understand this better than anyone. It's not a fight against aging, but the acceptance that every cycle must be reinvented. And perhaps that's the secret of true greatness, turning every ending into a new beginning. In the coming chapters, Giannis's fate will be sealed. The backstage is already moving, agents are already talking, and the NBA once again awaits the moment when the impossible stops being a rumor and becomes reality. The days leading up to the announcement were marked by an almost spiritual tension. Social media turned into a field of expectation. NBA insiders dropped cryptic hints, and every photo of Giannis at Bucks practice was dissected like a clue to destiny. Milwaukee stayed silent. Golden State feigned distraction. But beneath the league's surface, the machinery moved quietly. Financial documents, cap adjustments, complimentary contracts, everything had to fit perfectly. One accounting mistake, one misinterpreted clause, and the empire would never rise again. Then, on a morning that seemed like any other, the inevitable happened. Giannis Antetokounmpo was officially announced as the newest member of the Golden State Warriors. Headlines circled the planet before the official statement even finished. Broadcasts cut their schedules short, fans in the Philippines flooded social media, and the sports world froze. The best player of his generation was leaving the American Midwest to join forces with Curry and Butler in California. It was the end of a cycle and the beginning of what many called the Golden Revolution. Milwaukee reacted with pain, but also gratitude. The team's social media posted a silent video, Giannis raising the 2021 trophy, surrounded by golden light and the distant sound of applause. No narration, no speech, just the echo of an era. The fans understood. There was no betrayal. There was destiny. Every empire must make room for the next. And in that moment, the Milwaukee Bucks handed their symbol to history so that Golden State could write the next legend. In San Francisco, the first open practice of the new roster felt like a collective celebration. Thousands filled the arena just to see Giannis in blue and gold. Curry smiled like a man who had rediscovered purpose. Butler, eyes locked, treated practice as if it were a final. And quietly, in the corner of the court, Sotto observed it all. The 18-meter kid from the Philippines now shared the floor with idols he once watched on TV as a child. Integration began in silence. No grand introductions, no corporate speeches, just ball, sweat, and synchronicity. Giannis didn't ask to speak. He simply positioned himself on defense and started communicating in the language he knows best, intensity. Every practice felt like a purification ritual. Butler demanded, Curry guided, Sotto absorbed. The quick-passing, motion-heavy system was re-engineered to suit a dynamic new frontcourt. Now, every play had multiple branches. The ball could move from Giannis to Curry, Curry to Butler, Butler to Sotto, and the cycle would begin again. Analysts quickly noticed. The Warriors' game had become unpredictable again. With Giannis, the team no longer depended on one fixed identity. They could run the lightning pace of small ball or crush opponents through sheer physicality. The defense, once vulnerable, now looked alive. Giannis and Sotto formed a mobile wall. Butler intercepted lanes, and Curry used his body with surgical precision to force mistakes. What was once aesthetic had become military discipline. The results arrived during preseason friendlies. In just 3 games, Golden State won all by an average of 22 points. But the most impressive part wasn't the wins. It was how they happened. The team played as if they'd been together for years. Communication flowed without words. Giannis knew where Curry would be before the pass was made. Butler anticipated every cut. Sotto, even in limited minutes, seemed to sense the invisible rhythm of the system. Asian fans took over the narrative. Every move from Sotto was streamed live by fan pages. In the Philippines, Warriors games were broadcast in public squares on giant screens. Children wearing Giannis's 34 and Sotto's 11 shirts ran through the streets shouting "Golden State." The brand became a cultural movement. Basketball, once a niche global sport, had turned into a phenomenon of collective identity. In the United States, the media was divided. Some said the team had mortgaged its future to live in the present. Others saw something deeper, a lucid transition of eras. Because while Milwaukee was rebuilding, Golden State was evolving. This wasn't about repeating the past, but creating a new model. The Curry-Butler-Giannis trio became a study in complementarity. None sought the spotlight. Each understood that true power lay in harmony. Amid the euphoria, Sotto became a symbol of balance, quiet, dedicated, patient. In training, he absorbed every instruction as if it were gold. Draymond Green, now with Milwaukee, would later say he had never seen a rookie listen so much and talk so little. That silent humility made Sotto beloved by everyone. Giannis, in particular, saw in him a reflection of his own youth, a foreign kid trying to prove he belonged among the elite. As the season began, the entire league revolved around one name: Warriors. Broadcast ratings shattered records. The NBA rearranged schedules to capitalize on global interest. The opening game against the Los Angeles Lakers was treated as a historic event. The Chase Center stands glowed gold, and the atmosphere felt almost religious. When Giannis stepped on the court in a Warriors jersey for the first time, the roar was deafening. It wasn't applause. It was a collective roar of new faith. The game was a display of dominance. Curry dictated tempo, Butler did the dirty work, and Giannis imposed fear on every possession. Then came a symbolic moment in the third quarter. Giannis stole the ball, sprinted in transition, and instead of finishing himself, dished to Sotto, who slammed home his first NBA basket amid wild applause. The image spread worldwide, a champion sharing glory with an Asian rookie, the perfect metaphor for an empire reborn, not through force, but through unity. In the following weeks, the team solidified. Wins came in succession, but what truly defined them was the feeling. Every game seemed to have a purpose beyond the score. Golden State played as if proving basketball could still be art, cooperation, and transcendence. The connections between players went beyond logic. Giannis and Curry, opposites in every way, found a shared devotion to the game itself. Meanwhile, Milwaukee began its own reconstruction. Kuminga took on a leading role and became the new face of the franchise. Moody quietly grew stronger each game. The team was no longer a title contender, but neither was it a shadow. It was learning to live again. And ironically, the trade that once looked like an ending had become the rebirth of two stories. Across the NBA, balance was shifting. Golden State's new power forced rivals to adapt. Denver reinforced its interior. Boston adjusted its perimeter defense. The game evolved once more, as it always does when the Warriors are involved. And in San Francisco, a new philosophy took root. Time does not destroy, it transforms. Giannis represented strength, Curry, wisdom, Butler, instinct, Sotto, the future. 4 generations, one purpose. Golden State was no longer just a team. It was a living manifesto, proof that greatness doesn't depend on youth, but on the courage to reinvent. The sound of the crowd, the glow of the lights, the precision of their passing became a reminder of something simple and eternal. Empires don't die, they only change form. And so, the cycle completes. The empire many thought had fallen rises again, with new forces, new voices, and the same spirit of greatness that has always defined the Golden State Warriors. What began as a rumor became a revolution. Giannis, Curry, Butler, and Sotto now represent not just a team, but an idea that the impossible can be rewritten when talent and purpose converge. But this story is far from over. Every game is a new chapter. Every victory a sign that destiny is still being shaped. And if you want to follow it all, Every behind-the-scenes moment, every comeback, every detail of this new golden era, don't leave without giving your like. Your support keeps this project alive and helps us continue bringing stories that connect sport to true emotion. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and join this journey with us. Because when the next NBA bomb drops, you'll want to be the first to know. The game has changed, and the new empire has already begun.